and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you all about how I am using my Rhodia Goal Book in order to track my writing and to have a logbook of all the work I have done. The reason for this is because I often get to the end of the week or the end of a month or even the end of a day, and I have done Instagram stories talking about this in the past, and I've thought, what have I actually achieved today? I think in particular with long projects such as writing a novel, it's very easy to work away at it and to think you're not actually getting anywhere, or think that you've not actually done anything on it that day, even though you may have written 500 words or restructured a chapter or looked at some character stuff. I often had that feeling that I hadn't achieved anything, and it's an awful feeling because you think you've wasted your week or your day or your month or your year even. And I think this is one of the big reasons why I have, in the past few years, I've concentrated on my blog before my novel, because you get that instant publication of the blog post and then it's done, it's out of the way, and you feel you've achieved something. Same with a YouTube video or an Instagram post. It's quicker to put it together and to get it out in front of your audience, whereas when you're writing a novel or a non-fiction book, it takes that much longer and you feel you're not getting anywhere. I thought it would be a good idea during 2020 to actually track how I am doing with my long-term writing projects, to see if this gives me that little bit more motivation in order to keep going and to get towards that finish line and just get it done. So I bought myself this Rhodia Goal Book. It's in a beautiful blue cover with orange strap and an orange elasticated pen holder, and it's got 3 bookmarks, 2 in the blue and 1 in the orange. Initially, when I bought this book, I didn't know what I was going to use it for, and the one I've gone for, have a look at that beautiful orange inside, but the one I've gone for is the dotted. Whether they're all dotted, I'm not quite sure. But this is the dotted version, so it is perfect as a bullet journal. And that's basically what this is going to be. It's going to be a bullet journal of my writing. And one thing you will notice as we go through this, there is no space in here for my social media stats. I don't have a YouTube tracker. I don't have an Instagram follower tracker. This is purely for my writing. It's not planning either. I've got another journal for my planning. This is purely to track my writing progress. I'll talk you through what's inside this little book, and I will explain more as we go along. So, on opening this up, we have this beautiful orange colour. And here on the first page is where you can put your content. What I've done, I've put, well, let me explain as I go through, and then this will probably make more sense. So there's quite a few pages for your contents, and here you have the months of the year with the dates going down the side. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to use this spread yet, but I will see as the year goes on. I do know, however, that I'm going to be using this monthly summary. We've got January, February, March, and what I'm going to do is summarise all my stats that come from the book from the notebook and put them so I have an overview of how I've got on during each month of the year. So we have, this is the first half of 2020, then the second half of 2020. And then I've got myself a little title here, just so I know what it's for. And I have a quote that I saw on Instagram last night, and I think it was on Peter's stories, and I think she had attributed it to Lucy Sheridan. I had just finished a course yesterday, and it had finished with a Facebook Live with the course leader. The course leader said something very similar to what this quote is. And the quote is, "You will never be criticised by someone who is doing more than you. You will only be criticised by someone doing less." Think about that for a moment. A lot of what I write about with my essays, for example, that I sell on Patreon, is all about creativity and confidence. And one of the big issues that I know many people have, including myself, is fear of doing anything creatively online because you think you're going to get criticised. And just a few days ago, I had a thumb down on a YouTube video pretty much within the first hour or two. And as I don't get many views and thumbs up and engagement at the moment anyway, because I've only got just over 1,000 subscribers. So it's very obvious when you've got 10, 15 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down. And it bothered me just for a fleeting moment. And I was like, oh, I'm going to give up on all of this. Thankfully, sense prevailed. But made me think, when, not if, when I get my book published and I get a negative review on Amazon, how am I going to react then? I've really got to toughen up to these things and also just not let it bother me, because as this quote says, you will only be criticised by someone doing less. If that person who has written the negative review or given you the thumbs down or whatever just said something very negative about your work, isn't putting themselves out there themselves, isn't writing, isn't trying to get a novel finished, isn't putting themselves on YouTube and talking to camera and feeling very self-conscious. If that person isn't doing any of that, then stuff them. Stuff them. Anyway, so that's why I've got that in. It is there to remind me of the wise words spoken by my course leader in the Facebook Live last night. It's just something to live by, basically, because a lot of what I do is online. Okay, so now we come to the first part of my tracker, and this is my tracker for January, which is going to start in a few weeks' time. Can't quite believe that, really. And then I have this quote here: "There is only one way to eat an elephant, one bite at a time." According to the internet, this is something Desmond Tutu said. This is one way at looking at writing a big project, so a novel or a non-fiction book. There is only one way to do it: by taking small steps and doing a little bit every day. That's what this quote means, and that's why I've put it in there, to remind myself of what I'm actually doing. So, what does this grid mean? Across the top, I've got fiction, non-fiction, essay, read, and other. What I would like to do in an ideal world is to do one of those things every single day. That's not going to happen because I'm a mother of two, I have dogs, and I have my YouTube, I have my clients, I have so many things going on that there is no way that I physically can work on every single one of my writing projects every single day. But ideally, I'd like to do it a lot. And I've got my fiction and non-fiction, so these are going to be my two main projects. If I've worked on it on the 1st of January, I will then just scribble in and fill in this box. Same with my non-fiction, and the non-fiction is something I haven't actually mentioned yet. I have alluded to it on my Instagram, and do come over and see me on Instagram. I'm Helen Redfern, writer over there, and in my Instagram stories I talk about all of my writing projects on a regular basis. And my non-fiction is going to be something I talk about probably in my goals and projects video, but this is going to be a big focus for me during 2020. So if I've done any work on my non-fiction, I will scribble and colour in that little box. Same with my essays that I write for my patrons on Patreon. And read or read here means have I read any of a book today. During 2019 I have read very, very little, and I've really got out of the habit. I will pick up my iPad and watch something on Netflix like The Big Bang Theory instead of reading a book. And I really want to get back into that kind of cozy, all-consuming storyline that you just can't stop thinking about. It's just such a lovely feeling, and I want to get back to that. So I do want to start tracking whether I have read any of my current read or not that day. And then other is anything else that is writing related. So for example, I've just done a 4-week course on a writing project, and for every day that I spent on that course I would have scribbled and filled in that box. Or it could be that I've gone out or had a really useful conversation with another writer. It could be that I've read a really useful blog post or watched a really useful YouTube video. Anything to do with writing and giving me further motivation, inspiration, knowledge. I've learned something. Whatever it is, that will all go into that other column. And then I've put some washi tape here because this is going to be one of the pages I use the most during January. And then I have put here, although I haven't done the grids yet, I've done the rest of the months of the year just so that I've got placeholders for those. Now you notice I'm not the neatest person. That's not what my bullet journal is all about. It's basically there for me to track my writing. I do wish I could draw. I mean, this elephant that I've done here, I googled cartoon elephant drawing and then I just basically copied it off the screen. This is going to get messy, and you will see here I've got smudges and things like that. It is going to be a messy bullet journal, and I celebrate that. I live for messy bullet journals. I think they tell a big story with their scribbles and their splatters of ink. Right, so the next main page we've got, well, I've got 2 quotes here. Again, this is all related to the Facebook Live that I took part in yesterday, and my course leader, she read out, and I don't know, I think they're called oracle cards, Anyway, not come across them before, but I found this all very fascinating. And the one she pulled out for us as a group had a long sort of description. These two sentences really called to me. And the first one is journal and pay attention to your dreams. And the second one is there are ideas, truths, concepts, books and creations waiting to be birthed into this world. Stay open to receiving them. That, in conjunction with that, basically, with criticism, I'm my own worst enemy because I will criticise myself and tell myself that an idea is rubbish before I've even had time to let it live in my mind for a bit and let it breathe and let it evolve. And I will be quickly there saying, oh, it's not even worth thinking through. It's rubbish. You're rubbish. It's never going to happen. So the reason why this called to me is because where it says stay open to receiving them, I don't want to shut my ideas down before they've even had a chance because of my own lack of confidence and my own tendency to beat myself up and to call myself rubbish. That's why I've put those in. I'm not a big person who has quotes everywhere, but I don't know why these two really stood out for me, as will this one. So put it in, as well as the bite by bite one, because that is basically how I look at the whole writing of a novel. And then on the right hand side we have the tracker. Burnt Chocolate is the name of my novel, so this is my fiction tracker, and the first one here is the number of chapters I've rewritten, because I've got to the stage now where I have structured it, I have outlined it, I have done so many different things, and I'll put the playlist all about that in the description box below. So if you're interested in how I got on with my novel editing this year, then do go and check out that playlist. In 2020, I'm going to start the whole big rewrite. And so far we have 4 chapters done. So that's a nice way to start the year. And then here I've got the words rewritten. This is a grid of 90,000. We've got 10 by 9. So I'm aiming for 90,000 words. Obviously, if I do more, then I can just add on onto the side. But it's just to show my progress. If I get to the end of January or February and think, gosh, what have I done in the last couple of months? And I might be down here, or I might be there, or even down here, and I can see that I have written or rewritten lots and lots of words, and I am making progress on the eating of the elephant. Here I've got my nonfiction tracker, which is currently empty because it's something that I need to think through a little bit more, and I'll probably talk about that more in another video at a later stage. I'm at that stage where I don't want to say too much about it. It's all quite new. Sometimes I feel if I speak about it too much, the urge to write it disappears. But I am doing a kind of vlog of my progress with this. So if anything does happen with it in the future, I will have a video showing my progress all the way from the end of November, I think, to if and when it gets published. Then here I've got my essay tracker, and I've included all the essays that I have written already over the past 12, 14 months, something like that. So I've got a words written, and again each one of these squares is 1,000, so I've got 15,500 words I've written on my essays so far. And then I've done an essay log, so I've got the title of the essay, the number of the essay, the title of the essay, what the theme of the essay, and the word count of that essay. Then here I have my reading log, and I will be filling that out hopefully after reading lots of books over the Christmas and New Year period. And then we have the writing log, and again I've put some washi tape here to make it that little bit easier to find. Whenever I've done some writing, I'm going to put the date, the name of the project and some details. So it might be, the date might be the 5th of January, the project might be burnt chocolate, so I'll just put BC, and the details might be finished chapter 5, or it could be an essay. And it could be, I think essay number 6 is going to be the next one. Yes, essay number 6. And it could be sketched out the first draft. That is going to be my writing log. I was just editing this video, and I had an idea of how I could use this section with all the months in and the days numbered down the side, and I'm going to use it as a word count so I can keep track on the number of words I've written each day. And what I will probably do is draw a line down it so I have half for fiction and half for non-fiction. And that is pretty much everything that I've got so far. I don't want to have too many trackers or too many logs because it'll feel like a whole massive workload to do at the end of a writing day. I just want to keep it quite brief, and again, there's no social media in here, so I haven't got a social media log where I write, I've just recorded this video for YouTube. There's none of that. It's just simply focus on the writing. And then at the end of the month, I will do a little overview of how I did, whether that is going to be how many words I wrote, whether I finished a project, whether I got an essay out to my patrons, how many chapters I've rewritten of my novel. I'm just going to do it there as a summary so I can see at a glance, yes, I have achieved something this month. So that's it. That is my writing tracker and logbook. I hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, click on the thumbs up. Come over to Instagram on Instagram stories where I chat a lot more about my writing day. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for another video. Bye for now. Bye.